Okay, final question for today. Growing up as the only male in the household of emotionally manipulative women, I have developed some trust issues which I would like to overcome. That is completely understandable. Back to the question. As a child, my personal space was not respected, and my family members would routinely go through my private possessions. I'm so sorry you had to experience that. That is so invasive. Back to the question. I'm an INFP and really value having personal space, so I'm struggling when it comes to trusting the women in my life. I understand. And not only do I understand this personally, I know a lot of people who also have had this same issue, a lot of INFPs, and I am so sorry for you having to have experienced this. This is real personal violation, and however you put it, however you justify that people go through your stuff, it's still extremely invasive. I remember when it's probably about 12 years ago, something like that, my house was broken into, and I just didn't feel safe anywhere after that. I didn't feel safe at my home. I didn't feel safe in my own space. I locked the doors of the car whenever I was driving. So to have that, to grow up in that terror is just horrendous. And again, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. You were asking, you were saying you're struggling when it comes to trusting the women in your life, and that's totally understandable. I would say, however, on that everybody else is not like the people that you grew up with. So it's important to acknowledge, and this is one of the biggest keys in overcoming PTSD, in my experience, is that you understand that whatever triggering you have that's driving you in a specific direction. So, for example, in your case, distrust of women, that world that comes from your childhood and the world where there are actually trustable women are two entirely different realities. And in order for you to get well in this space, you need to have a foot in both camps. And that's tough. So you're constantly and consistently having to challenge yourself and your projections from your childhood to your now situation. And it's completely understandable if you never overcome this. But I will tell you that if you never overcome this, then you will not be happy, because you can't relax anywhere. And there are certain people that you can trust. But I suggest that you extend trust very slowly, and you're very deliberate about your own conduct. So when you're getting to know new people, let's just say you're getting to know new people, new women that you've never met before, they seem nice, they're not always on the drama triangle, which is what that kind of manipulative people tend to be, on the drama triangle. So you recognize that there's a person who's healthy, or relatively healthy, or at least aware of their own patterning, and then you start building a relationship with that, whatever relationship that is. You start building that relationship with them. You extend trust one little bit at a time, but deliberately. It's okay to be a little bit scared and still extending it anyway, but don't be too emotionally available initially, so that if it turns out that you're still attracting this kind of manipulative person into your life, that they're not going to take whatever information you give them and use it against you. So there's really no rush in building really solid, good relationships, but be aware of what you're bringing into it. Are you assuming that the other person is untrustworthy, and thus look for the ways in which you can't trust that person? Is that one of those pieces of the puzzle? Because it certainly was for me. And then just saying mantras like, this person's not my mother, this person's not my sister, this person's not my sister, so go take that person who's in front of you at their face value, but extend trust slowly. But then also stop your own projections. So say, this person's not my childhood. They're not the representation of my childhood. And if they are, I'm now a grown up. I can just get rid of them from my life. I don't have to be subject to what I was subject to when I was a child. I had no choice about it then. Now I do. So those are the kinds of things that I would say for you. Just recognize that it was a massive violation. You may have post-traumatic stress from it. That would be completely understandable if that was the case. And understand that there are two camps, two realities. There's the reality of your childhood abuse, and then there's the reality where your childhood abuse doesn't exist. Not every person is a reflection of your childhood abuse. And then keep yourself in check in how much you're, extending trust to them, but also how much are you projecting onto them that they are in the reality of your childhood, whether they are or aren't. It's okay to find out later on that you don't want to be friends with somebody and then just not be friends with them. That's okay. You have that right now. You're a grown up. Whereas you didn't have a choice about it as a child. Was that helpful for you? Let me know. I'd love to hear if that was helpful or what other thoughts might have arisen from that share. So thank you everyone for this session today. It's been great. Thank you for amazing questions. It's always such a pleasure to do this work with you, with amazing people who want to proactively heal, who want to move beyond the pain that's been terrorizing us for most of our lives. I get it. There is a way out of it, but I do get it at the same time. So thank you, everyone. And we'll talk again next week. You look after yourself. Take care.